Well, Joe, I cannot think of a better way to start 2024 than to be here talking to you. And already this is shaping up to be a really, really big year for you. So what does it feel like to be coming into your first main event?
I would say a lot of excitement upon, the announcement, it actually coming to fruition, me actually getting a main event spot in my fourth fight. Against a number 10 guy at that, a pretty high ranked guy. It's not like I'm just breaking into the cups of the rankings and trying to test myself. I'm fighting somebody in the top 10, something I'll take pride in after I take that spot from them. So I would say initially a lot of excitement and just another day for me though, more work, a bigger commitment to the goal, and trying to see how far I can really push myself past what I already have. So trying to figure out who I am.
Does it feel like you thought it would? Because this is something that, whether they would admit it or not, every new UFC fighter thinks about, okay, what the first time I made event a fight, I'm sure you've pictured it. Is it shaping up the way that you imagined it would so far?
I honestly haven't put that much thought into how it would feel. It doesn't feel different for me. I'm treating it like another fight. It is the biggest fight. I always put that pressure and anxiety on myself. Because it is, the next step forward is always the most important goal, and that's what keeps you on the trajectory to keep going. So I wouldn't say it feels any different for me. I don't feel pressure. I don't feel any different. I got a tough guy in front of me, and that's what I'm preparing for. And it's a fight. It doesn't matter somebody's number they put next to his name or the highlights they put together of past people he beat that weren't me. I don't care for any of that. I care about the best Jack Hermansson that's going to be in front of me, and how I'm supposed to take him out.
You said it a second ago, you're 3-0 in the UFC, and a lot of people I think on the surface would see that, right? You're 3-0 in the UFC, already in a main event spot. You're kind of making this look easy, but it has been anything but easy for you, is the truth of it. And so I guess take me back to August 11th, 2020, right? You get your opportunity to have this huge fight in front of Dana White, and you suffer this horrific arm injury. What was going through your mind in that moment?
I never felt like I had wasted my life before, and I was living out of my coach's house. He was my wrestling coach from high school. And like I said, I never felt like I had ever wasted my life doing something for so long. And in that moment, I felt it, because the immediate tweet was, Pyfer dislocated his elbow, he's fine. That came from Dana White and his tweet. And everybody being like, well, at least you got millions of views on that. And, at least you're famous for this. And nobody understanding that as, I don't get to shake the boss's hand. I don't get to, plead my case for a rematch or when I come back, or that's it. You just kind of get escorted out, and that's it. Opportunity gone, opportunity lost. Regardless of the circumstances, it wasn't Dustin's fault. I did get Matt returned, right? My arm dislocated and broke. It's just when you're going away in the ambulance and the doors are closing and you realize, now I'm 27 years old. I've been in the sport for 23 years. At the time, 2020, it's quite a bit of ways, back. I think it was 18, 19 years I'd been in the game, and then here I am with no money, sitting in the in the back porch with my coach with no money, no idea how I'm coming back, being told that I'll never be able to fight again with this kind of injury, and that is kind of over. So it was a very dark place, a very haunting place, and a place I hope to never go back to. So it was very hard.
When did you realize, I guess at what point did you know that it wasn't, this easy 6-week type of recovery? Because I think a lot of people, we become desensitized to stuff like that in this game a lot, right? Like, we got injured, he's just gonna go away for a bit, come right back. And it almost becomes no big deal. So when did you realize, because you had a lot of complications happen, when did you realize that this was not gonna be, a straight line road to recovery for you?
I personally believed it wasn't going to be easy just because of the trajectory of my life. So I kind of had that gut instinct before I was told, it was more than a dislocation, which was a radial head explosion pretty much. And it's one of the worst things that you can have because of mobility, because of it being in the joint itself. So I knew basically after they put me out in Las Vegas and they reset it and they kind of had an x-ray of it, that there was a ton of bone pieces in there, and it was so bad that they had to wait for the swelling to come down so they could try to get in there. Otherwise, it would have been inoperable and much harder. And you have a ton of nerves in there and a lot of things that you have to be careful with on those surgeries. So I knew it almost immediately, and if I didn't know in a few hours, I knew a couple hours later. So I knew it within a day that this was probably going to be the toughest test of my life as far as my commitment to this game and how bad I really wanted to do it, and what hurdles I was willing to jump over to stay.
So at that point, I mean, was there a point where you thought, I may not be able to fight again?
Yeah. Immediately after they told me, it could slip out again, it could break. The chances are like a 70-30 as far as the nerve damage, as far as being able to punch and it not dislocate or get slammed on it and it pop out again. It freaked me out. And I had complications after the first 6 months of that first surgery, and then I had to go back. I was complaining to the doctor that originally did the surgery. I was like, man, something don't feel right. I'm telling you, like, I just joined this gym. I was working with Coach John Marquez punching, and I felt like it was just stuck. And then my shoulder overcompensated like crazy because my arm was still bent. And, I really started setting in like, oh, I might not be able to do this. And it scared me. It scared me a lot. And, I had a lot of mental demons to get past. And I was resilient and went and got a second opinion, a third opinion, and then I found my doctor, Tosti, who, was like, look, like, we could do the surgery. It's like a 30% chance it's going to work and 70% it's not, and that might be it for you as an athlete. And I don't know if he recalls the conversation, but immediately I didn't even hesitate. I was like, let's go, let's try
Really?
it. If this is everything I did my life for, then let's do it. So, yeah, I did it, and I'm still not 100% as far as it being a perfect arm, but it's good enough, and I can scrape by and do my thing, and I still got punching power, so that's all that matters.
30% was enough for you to say, let's do it.
Scheduled it right there. Second it came out of his mouth, 5 seconds later, I was like, let's do it, and we scheduled the surgery, second surgery.
You strike me as someone who, MMA is not just something that you do. It's a big part of who you are, and it's a big part of how you've overcome a lot of things in your life. So to be sitting there and even considering the possibility that could be taken away had to be a dark place for you.
Yeah, it was a suicidal place for me. It was a depressing place for me, not having the support system then that I do now. I still had a great coach who basically saved my life, and the only reason I'm in the UFC is because of him. Having somebody like him who always believed in me no matter what decision I was going to make. He always said that nothing was impossible for me because anything I set my heart and my mind to, I could achieve, right? The cliche statements, but I think that man really believed it, and I couldn't and wouldn't exist moving forward if I hadn't taken that chance. I owed it to him. I owed it to myself first and foremost, that, even if I got in the UFC and I lost and I got that second chance and I didn't make it, I took the chance, Many a times, like, that man provided housing for me for a few years where I didn't have to pay rent, and he really wanted to see me make this dream. I mean, so I owed a lot of people, I felt, on my heart to go and still believe and still try. And, I knew I had a lot of pieces missing to the puzzle still. I was training 3 days a week, hitting pads with my former coach. And I had a friend at the time that only had wrestling, had no MMA experience, and I would train with him 3 days a week, and I would do my own strength conditioning, and I made it to the Contender Series off of that. And I was knocking everybody out off of that. So, now when I had my arm break, I knew I had to make a change before my arm broke. And I made that change still. And then when I came back, I had a foundation, Coach John Marquez and, Jonathan Webb, my jiu-jitsu coach, and just a whole foundation, Sean Brady, teammates that lived this life. For a long time, I was the only one that lived this life. So the arm break made me change and gave me the time to change everything I needed to really make this run possible.
Was there a specific moment or conversation or something that happened that allowed you to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel in that situation?
I would say after the first surgery, I didn't really see the light. I was in tons of pain doing the physical therapy, the rehabilitation process. And then when I got the second surgery, basically all that was for nothing, and you had to start back at square one. And but Dr. Tassi, the way that he presented it to me, made me super hopeful. And I would say the light at the end of the tunnel came as soon as I came out of the operating room, and I remember being all dopey and like trying to wake up, but I remember him hearing, "You had a great success." That's all I remember hearing. It was like kind of dark, and like obviously I didn't have my vision yet, but I do remember the words that, "You had a great success, he's going to be good. I think he's going to be better," and he was. We got full extension, and you just have to make sure he's got to do his PT and blah, 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 and I just remember that. So I don't really have a vision, but I do remember hearing it, and that's all I needed to hear. I just needed to hear something in a positive light from somebody who did the surgery.
So you get the positive news, and it was just a decision essentially that you made that I'm not going to allow this hole to suck me in any further, and from now on we're moving forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can still punch now. This is what people don't understand. So my arm is still not 100%. It is stuck. I cannot force it to go anymore. Every time I punch, my shoulder overcompensates. I've had injuries to my shoulder. This is why I was frustrated the last fight. I've had injuries to my shoulder. I've had broken hands. Ever since my arm broke, I've had the worst injuries. I broke my ankle on my comeback fight. 2 weeks after, when I made my comeback fight, I broke my left thumb in half, still fought the fight, still knocked the guy out. I've had nothing but hiccups. I have not had a smooth camp since I've been in the UFC, so people don't understand who I am at 100% health. I'm doing this interview, and I was sick all through Christmas, and I had lost my voice, right? So I know how strong I am because I've never been given a smooth, clean slate, and I'm sure there's a lot of fighters, I'm preaching to the choir, it's never gonna go 100% smooth, but I've always had something kind of big jump in the way to try and knock me down, and I think that's just the trajectory of my life I'm supposed to live, and I'm okay with it because I know I can triumph. I know when you put my back against the wall, you make me the underdog, you tell me I'm not supposed to win, I'm going to try and defy that odd every time, and almost take joy in being doubted because I was never believed to be here and be in front of you. You know, people don't understand, or be in front of Dana, that I've been watching this since I was before 6 years old, 7 years old, and here I am, and that's all belief.
You were built to overcome, absolutely. And you did that in 2022 when you came back to the Contender Series.
Yeah.
And we got the phrase that we all know and love, "Be Joe Pyfer." When Dana White said that, what was your immediate reaction? Did you think it was a big deal at the time that he said that?
No, I didn't. I felt almost tickled, like, huh, that's funny. Like, that's literally how I felt. That's kind of how I still feel because, I don't think I had a spectacular performance. I remember telling you that my legs, I was so nervous and my legs were gone. I almost had the shakes, like I was sick, like I was like, something's wrong. But I was so nervous because I put all my eggs in one basket, and I had no plan B. I've never had a plan B for my life, and if that didn't work out, I don't know if I'd be here, and that's not a sympathy thing. It's just I didn't see myself being anything else. I don't see myself working a 9 to 5, and I'm a very passionate, emotional person, and I go at something with everything I have. So when I heard that, it was, for the first time in my life, I was a representation of something for not just my career and my fight, but my name. Yeah. I'm the 5th Pyfer, and every one of them have been bad to their kids. So, and I'm the first athlete to, really go all in on himself. Mm-hmm. So this is it. And I don't think I had a spectacular performance, but I showed that raw emotion. I showed that I was pissed off at Dana and cursing and not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm a passionate being, and I don't care whose toes I step on in that moment. That was changing. That was life-changing. I was about to be homeless. So, yeah.
It's pretty cool to look back on that phrase because, you and I have talked about this before, but just to hear him say, be Joe Pyfer, not just in the moment in terms of be Joe Pyfer as a fighter, be Joe Pyfer when you're on the Contender Series, but to hear him say, be Joe Pyfer, and have that kind of live in the ethos, how much did that night, that phrase, that fight, all of that, how much did that change your life?
Beyond what I ever thought my life could be. You know, I never always planned for the walkouts, for the fights, for the, the things I might say when I win, but it always comes from the heart. I always it up. And it's never something I say from a script. It's always something I say from a feeling. And that's why I chose this. I didn't want to be filtered. I didn't want to be a fake character. I don't have to sell a character. I'm intriguing enough. I got a presence about me that if I'm in a room, I'm there. And if you're fighting me, you're fighting somebody that's going to bring it to you. So I think the whole Beat Joe Pyfer thing is being resilient, not accepting what the tabloids are saying or the social media gurus that are talking about, statistics and striking and wrestling and what's his gap, what's his weakness. I was projected, I think it was a pick'em in that fight, but it wasn't. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. I got something these people don't have. And, everybody says that, but I believe it. And if I'm going to lose, I want to be knocked out or I want to be submitted. I don't want to be laid on for 15 minutes or 25 minutes. That's not how I fight. It's all or nothing. So I think B. Joe Pyfer has come out there and bring it. Yeah. Show them who you are. Show them that aggression. If there was no ref in there, I'd kill that person. So that's how I treat this. And I'm afraid to lose, so I bring everything I got.
It was cool to be there for that moment. It's been really cool to see everything that's played out and happened to you and for you since. And one of those things that happened immediately after that was, I think Dana really gets behind people, gets really passionate about people that he sees are going all in on their life and their passion. So, and he got behind you. I know he helped you out, financially. How much did that particular leg up help you at that point in your life? Because I think not everybody realizes kind of where you were outside of fighting at that moment. It's like the highest height, you just get this UFC contract, but not everybody realized what was going on, sort of behind the scenes for you.
Yeah, so just to put it in context for the people that didn't understand, I had a friend that I was living with that tried to commit suicide and hurt themselves while I was living there. And they went to a hospital, they came back, that was 3 weeks out from the fight. They disappeared 1 week from the fight. So 1 week, on a Tuesday, disappeared. I fought that next Tuesday. Didn't hear from him, blah, blah, blah. And, I had to figure out where this person was. I had that weighing on my heart. It was one of my best friends. And, and then we were getting basically kicked out of the house that we were living in because he neglected to tell me that his conversations with the realtor were selling the house. And we had till Friday to move out. So I would have fought Tuesday, win or lose, and I would have been homeless or living on somebody's couch. When I say homeless, having no idea where I'm going to live by that Friday. So I won the contract Tuesday. Obviously, Dana financially helped me and secured a condo for me for the next year is what I put that towards. And I fought Tuesday. I flew home Wednesday, accepted a fight for my birthday on September 17th from August 11th. So I accepted that in the airport as I'm getting my bags. Thursday, I moved out. Friday, I moved in. Saturday, I flew out to Dallas to go watch Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena, number 2. Yeah. So, I didn't, it changed my whole life. I don't think I could have drummed up a better comeback. I don't think I have anything to hold my head low about, I was obsessed with chasing that Dustin Stoltzfus fight back. If you go back and you watch, I'm screaming at Dana to let me fight him again. And I think every post-fight I've said, interview, that I want to fight him again. So, yeah, it's changed my life, but I would love to get that one back.
With the attention and buzz that comes along with someone in your position, especially the guys coming off Contender Series who get a really big amount of hype behind them, I feel like sometimes there's this sort of backlash among the fighters where, I don't know if it's crying favoritism or maybe you feel like everyone starts calling you out all of a sudden because they want to take your hype away, but you've got that target on your back. Did you experience that? Did you feel that at all?
No, I think Joseph Holmes, that cornball, called me out once, and that was it. That's like the only guy I've ever heard call me out. I don't see why you would call me out if you're jealous or if you're envious. I don't care how tough any of these guys are, whether they could beat me, whether they couldn't. I've lived a very tough life, and I've lived a very draining life. So I don't care if you don't like me. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but I don't care if you don't like me. I don't care if you hope I lose. I don't care for anybody. I'm not a fanboy. I'm not shocked if I see people like, hey man, like I'm in my own lane. I do my own thing. And there's a reason why it's a beat Joe Pyfer and it's not fight like Joe Pyfer. It's, I think it was said because I carry myself different. I go to the beat of my own drum. And I won't be moved by anybody else's judgments or concerns or projections of hatred. And, at the same time I say that, I'm very fortunate and very thankful. I think 98% of my following is all positive. I don't get hate messages yet, but at the same time, too, I'm not doing this for them, So it's why I don't want to be an inspiration. Like I say, I want to be a role model for the kids that are underprivileged like I was, and in circumstances with parental abuse and just that type of life where they don't know where they're going to go, what they're going to do. So that's my message, and let the people hate that don't like me. It's going to bounce. I'm not going to see it.
Talk to me about the lead up to your UFC debut, because that's probably one of the toughest things to do, is to come off the Contender Series, have a lot of people talking about you, and then that debut kind of staring you down the barrel. What were the feelings like leading up to your debut?
It was the most fun I've had so far.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was no pressure. DC, it's funny because you hear, like, MMA is a repetitive cycle. You hear everybody say the same shit. You hear everybody, I'm going to kill this person, I'm going to beat this guy, I'm going to do this, and I'm different, but, to each their own. I think we're all one of one, and we all may have similarities, we all may have things that make us relatable, but I am truly a one-on-one, and I think I'm different for the simple fact that I mean what I say, and I don't say it in false confidence. I don't say it to convince you. I say it because it's what I believe. And I think there's a lot of people in the sport that will say things to you to convince you, but they're not convinced themselves. It's not something they feel within. And I feel it within. And I've always felt it within. And that's why I'm here, because I never believed I was meant to be average. I never believed I was meant for that 9-to-5 job. I never believed I was smart enough for school. But one thing I did believe is that I had the ability to beat any man that you put in front of me. And sure, I may have 2 losses on my career, right? One being a freak accident. One, I was dealing with some mental health issues, which people that have had it understand how that can really affect your ego going out to a fight and wanting to win, even though I was dominating, So I think people will look at me and have question marks, and that's cool. But yeah, the debut was no pressure at all, because I was able to just be myself, and I knew I would knock that dude out. I knew it. Like, it was.
How'd you know?
I know I have the power to knock out any man.
Yeah.
It's just, where am I at mentally? That's always the question with me. If you talk to my coaches, it's always like, where's Pyfer at with his mental health? That's it. As long as I'm happy, nobody will come close to me. It'll look so smooth. My career will look so smooth. And I'm talking about the top guy, the champion. As long as I'm happy, I will dust all of them. If I'm not, then, I'll make life a lot harder for myself. There's some tough guys out there, and I won't be the best forever, but I can be the best for a certain amount of time. I know I'll hold that belt one day.
That first round knockout, you looked pretty happy.
I was very happy, but I wasn't overly. If you look at the last, like the Gerald one, I always scream and freak out, like that primal thing comes out in me, and the Abdul fight, I wasn't as happy in those, with injuries. And Miami was cool. I did enjoy Miami, but I had some stuff going on and some relationship things, and just like the trajectory of trying to handle, what I'm worth outside of fighting, So I think that's the problem. That's the danger in this, right? You can always be the man, and we can always sit in front of you, and I can give you the whole I'm the baddest guy in the world spiel, but I'm a very emotional person. I have a lot of things that, I'm very open about, because I'm a human being. I'm not just a fighter, and I want to be more than just a fighter. So, yeah, I was happy because I got 50 G's on my birthday.
It's funny to hear you talk, because so you make your UFC debut, and to be fair, it's the UFC debut that anyone would dream of. You get a first round knockout. 7 months later, you're on a huge pay-per-view, and you get another first round knockout. And 6 months after that, you go and get another finish. And you can't argue that it's one of the best starts that we've seen in the UFC. But every time I talk to you after those wins, and even now, you have a much different vibe than most winners that I talk to after they win. There is an edge to you at all times. And I guess I wonder where that edge comes from. What is that?
I think it's just I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I got a lot to prove. I haven't beat anybody that, like the first guy I beat, I knew I would knock him out because I think all 3 of his losses were by knockouts, by guys that are nowhere near my level as far as punching power. I know he had 8 knockouts, right? He had the power to knock me out like any man does. And I can get caught, I'm a human being. But I just didn't believe it, and I never thought it, and I knocked him out. Now, you have the flip side. I had nightmares of getting knocked out by Abdul, and I was struggling with some real stuff where I was almost contemplating the week of the fight pulling out. And I didn't have much of a training camp. I got staffed 2 weeks before it, and that really messed me up. And then I was sick before that, and it was the worst camp I had had. Right, so Gerald Meerschaert fight was great. It was good. I took that time, so between the bonus and between Dana helping me with a place to live, it gave me that time that I hadn't had since I came back from the surgery. Because as soon as I was cleared to go, even before I was cleared to go, I went back to training, and then I took a fight that I got cleared 2 weeks before to even be able to have. Broke my hand, won that. Got the contender, took the short notice not really short notice, but took the fight immediately after I won the contract, so I never had time to build my frame, to build my body. And I was doing that with no strength and conditioning. Like, I did strength and conditioning, but I didn't do a power program. I didn't try to build on my frame as a middleweight, which is foolish. So winning that 50 grand gave me the time to financially be able to, train and build on my body and do this the right way. So, yeah. I don't remember what the question was, but
no, you said. You said the edge
my
comes.
edge,
yeah, you said the edge comes from. You said because I'm not done yet, and I'm curious what you mean when you say you're not done. Obviously, you're not even close to being done with your UFC career. You're not done fighting. You're not done achieving things. But when you say you're not done, is it you're not done completely proving people wrong? Because the sense that I get is that you're anxious to show people 100% of you, which you feel like you really haven't had a chance to yet.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've had that stellar performance. I don't feel like I've put it all together yet. I don't feel like in a performance. I feel like Abdul, I showed a little bit, right? I showed I could grapple, which people very, very, very much so underestimate, which is hilarious to me. So that's going to be a good
They just haven't watched
call.
your grappling matches.
Yeah, look, they're boring. I just wrestle people and I keep them down and I stay safe, and I play the half guard thing and, I smacked Gerald even after the fight and I didn't have to, but, everybody kept saying, well, if you would have gone to the ground. So I was like, all right, cool, come to Fury Grappling. And I smacked him there. Got surgery on my left arm 6 days later. Couldn't even bend my arm. Still beat you. So it's just like, everybody in their narratives, and I would say the edge is just my life circumstances. I'm not supposed to be here, so I'm not going to be. I'm not a mean person, but I am not the most friendly person either. I don't need all the fake congratulations from people that say they've been following me for years. And I specifically remember when my arm was broken, everybody cast me aside, and that was it. Like, everybody lost faith in me. Everybody thought it was done for me, So when I come back, I have an edge to me, and it's one. I want to have a beach house one day, and I want to have that dream car that I want one day, and I want to live and know what it's like without getting emotional. I want to know what it's like to wake up and know that I made it, and so that's what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for my name and to know that I made it, and I can wake up and drink that cup of coffee and take a walk in peace and know in my heart that I can calm down.
I can picture you envisioning like that life of not having that chip.
Yeah.
And maybe what that would feel like to not have I don't know that it's pressure, because I think you kind of enjoy it in a way. You put it on yourself. But what would it feel like to not have that chip on your shoulder, to live your life without that edge?
Well, I think that's where I'm trying to achieve happiness. You know, I'm not the happiest person. I still struggle every day with mental health stuff, and you know, money doesn't change that. Money doesn't define happiness, and I never thought I would understand that. I mean, man, if you have money, you can have cars, you can do this, you know, but money doesn't change it. You know, it definitely helps with the anxieties of life, of, you know, the system that we have to live by, which is money. But it doesn't buy happiness, and I think the happiness lies in the people that you're trusting in your everyday life, and the communication, and how you give back. And I find joy in trying to help the younger generation. I find joy in working on my cars. I find joy in, you know, playing video games with my friends. I find joy in a lot of things, but I think it's just sometimes I'm a very hard person on myself, and you know, I'm so tired of people that have been judging me since I was born.
Yeah.
Since I was a year old, because that's when the abuse started. So I'm just so, I still got that fire rage in me that it's like, when people tell me I can't do something, watch me, and go ahead. You know, you may be able to beat me, but you better watch out for that one shot, because I said it in the interview with you. I only need one to put these people away, and nobody understands to the extent what I mean by that. You know, I think everybody thinks I just think I got knockout power. I haven't fought the best, which I have not, but I'll be able to do it against the best too. So, yeah, it takes a toll on you. You know, it takes a toll on you. Always, what's next? So, you know, I'm not a champion either. You know, it only gets worse. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn to function. This is all new to me.
I think that, you know, a lot of fighters find a lot of motivation in that feeling that you have, right? The proving people wrong, the doubters, the haters, whatever it may be. But now you're in a spot in your life where maybe those things are still in the back of your mind, but you're now surrounded by people here that you get to prove right on a daily basis too. So talk to me about what this gym, Marquez MMA, what John Marquez, all of your other coaches, guys like Sean Brady, what have they meant to your journey to get you, you know, here today?
Yeah, more than they I think it's more than they can understand. Like, I think they understand. I think they understand. But, you know, like, Sean not being in my corner last time me up mentally. You know, like, he got sick and he couldn't make it, and he was messed up. So, and then, you know, him not being there, like, I take so much pride in seeing these people every day and training with them and having a friendship with them. You know, me and Sean do a podcast together. You know, we talk all the time about cars, and, you know, he's like the older brother that I never had. So, you know, him being there, and John's the relatable father I never had. That, you know, he never met his dad, and I knew my dad, but my dad was super abusive and didn't care about me, and, you know, let alone all the other things that came with that. So, you know, I'm happy to be here and know that these people care about me, and it's a safe space for me, you know, to be myself. And I'm a tough person to be around sometimes. I'm not easy to deal with, you know, but they deal with me well, and, you know, this team has changed my life and changed the way I look at fighting, and changed, you know, even my work ethic. I've never had to work. I remember saying when I came here, it reminded me of the old school days of Fight Factory when Eddie Alvarez was making his come up, and a bunch of other guys that people will know. But yeah, it's a real, like, we're on the 4th floor in Philadelphia, and
there's no elevator.
You're winded coming up the stairs, you know? There is an elevator. It's real old.
They didn't let me use it.
You wouldn't want to. You'd probably be afraid to get stuck. But yeah, I mean, it's a real, I don't want to say a raunchy like vibe, but it's a hard working vibe.
It's a
you
Philly
come here
vibe.
And we go to work, and we work harder than anybody else's room. And that's often what we have found the common denominator from other people that have come from other teams or other gyms to come train or cross-train, have tried it. And they're in awe of, like, oh, these guys are different. These guys work like crazy. So, yeah, I mean, it's the whole key to my success from even before getting on the second Contender Series. So
It sounds like you found a family.
Yeah, it's not by blood, right?
Yeah.
It's by choosing, and it means a lot.
If you had to describe who Sean Brady is to you in one sentence, what would you say?
Leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never met somebody that can train more, let alone be the leader by example. And the reason I would say leader isn't because he's not the best at saying things. That's not his forte. He's not somebody you want to sit down and be like,
and do a podcast with?
Yeah. Dry as hell.
It's pretty good.
Dry
I mean, I watched
as
it.
hell.
I watched it. It's good.
I often make fun of him because he will be the driest welterweight champion we've ever had. Nah, he's funny. He's got his things, but I would say it's just leading by example. It doesn't matter if I'm sick, dying, whatever. This man is here every single day. This is his team. He's the general on the team, and let alone he's the only person that I can't beat on the ground. So yeah, I mean he's the leader. He's here all the time, and just seeing him, even in his comeback, everybody wrote him off. So yeah, that's something that was new for him, right? Mm-hmm. But we all believed in him, and I think he needed to believe in himself again. And it was stateside, thankfully, and everything went his way. But yeah, I would say one word is leader.
What would you say you have here that maybe you didn't have before you found this family? Like whether it's technique wise and like gym vibe wise, or just you as a person.
All that. Yeah. It's all that. It's gym vibes. It's technique wise. I don't even say technique. I got really good boxing because of my coach Sammy Orpiza, who's still in my life, and he comes here and I get him working out, and he'll be in my corner in February as well. But yeah, I mean, I would say it's just the camaraderie and like-mindedness to be in a room full of other people that are chasing the same thing. I don't feel like a lone wolf. For a lot of years I was training out of a jiu-jitsu gym, having been the only person that was trying to do this for a living. I used to train with Basil Hafez, who just fought Jack Della Maddalena or whatever, but that was like my only teammate, and we're kind of different in size, and he was always shorter and I was tall, so it was tough, So and that was like the only guy I had as a teammate or a sparring partner, So I just was lacking a lot of things. I didn't have a strength conditioning coach. I didn't have the money for good food. I didn't have, any type of sleep schedule or understanding or education on, nutrition. So just kind of winging it. Yeah. Everything I was doing, I was just winging it.
It's crazy how far you got winging it.
With no foundation, with no support.
Yeah.
And just a coach that had a full-time job, 2 kids, a fiance, and working, 2 jobs that I would hit pads with at 5 a.m. 3 days a week, So, and that's not optimal for training. You can't be training at 5 a.m. as your main training, so yeah. And then I would go to an Edge Fitness and lift. Come on, you know what I mean? I still made it. So I have unlimited potential, and I am a very coachable person. I would say that's the other half of having good coaching. But are you a coachable person? Mm-hmm. Ask Coach John what it is to coach me. I listen, I try, I do these things. So if I'm not trying, then what am I doing?
I mean, it feels like with this team around you that it's sort of just sky's the limit. So talk to me about 2024. What boxes are we checking this year?
Well, we're getting our first main event. I'm going to be ranked. And I got a new contract, so I'm happy with that.
Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you. And, I want a new contract if you're going to put me in the top 5, right? So, we've laid out what we want to do. Hopefully you can never plan things by a pen and paper, I don't think. But I don't have super big expectations for 2024 as far as what my plan is, but the only plan that I have so far is Jack Hermansson on February 10th, and that's my only focus, and I'm going to take a little bit of time. Vacation, that's 2024. I need a freaking vacation.
Do we have this vacation planned? Do we know where we're going?
I don't ever plan before a fight.
That's probably smart.
Yeah,
that's good.
I'm very, if I don't win, I don't deserve it.
Keep yourself hungry.
Yeah.
So I know you're not looking past Jack, but I have to ask because, it's January. It's a very exciting year, and you're fighting the number 10 ranked guy. So let's just, for the sake of this interview, assume that you get past Jack Hermansson. Do you feel like this is a year in which, if everything works out the way that it should, or the way that you would like it to, is this a point where you could be in title conversation by the end of the year? How many fights do you want to have?
Yeah, so I came into the UFC and I was very vocal about wanting to take the slow route. I wanted to do the Sean O'Malley route where everybody's tough in the UFC, so you can't sit here and say I'm handpicking or I don't want to fight this guy, right? But I'm also not stupid. I understand why I'm in the sport. I need financial security. I want to secure that house, that car, my dream. I want to live and like my life so I can love fighting more, you know. And, you know, fourth fight, I'm already going to the top 10 and main eventing. And it's not because of Jack. That's the thing that I think is super important to recognize, right? It's not because of Jack. Jack's a top 10, but it's not because of Jack. I'm getting a good push, and, you know, I think they like me, and I'm going to do my best and my power to go out there and do what I do best, which is finish guys. So, yeah, I mean, I would say 2 more fights, probably a title fight. Or if they're bored of the top guys kind of being stagnant, throw me in there, get me 1 more fight, and then throw me in for a title fight. So if I feel like I'm ready, I'll take it, but I will not take it unless I feel like I'm ready. And when I say that, it's like, can you handle the criticism? Can you handle the media? Can you handle staying focused and getting through a healthy camp? Is this the best you ever felt type of deal? So if those things don't line up, I'll decline. I want this to make sense, and I want to hold the belt because I'm ready to hold the belt for a long time. Not because, oh, this is my only chance, let me get a shot. I'm not desperate. I don't sell out like that. So I'm my best brand, and I'm my best supporter, and I will always have my own back. So, yeah, but I don't see why it's not possible. If I'm just starching dudes, and it's like, all right, dude, well, you just starched the number 5 guy, number 3 guy, number 4 guy, you know, any of those, you can't. I can't even argue with myself, like, why wouldn't you take that shot?
What do you make of middleweight right now? Because it's a very different landscape than even a year ago. And as we sit right here for this interview, you know, you've got Sean Strickland about to defend his title against Dricus du Plessis, a huge fight for the division, of course. I'm sure you'll be watching that one closely. So what do you think about the division and the current champ?
I like Sean Strickland. I like that he's coming out about, you know, his abusive past, and I feel for the guy. I saw him crying on one of the interviews, and, you know, people don't understand how it scars you for life, especially if they've never gone through it. And and some people have gone through it, and they think that they don't feel any emotions, right? Because they'll never get emotional, they'll never get choked up, they'll never talk about it, and they just kind of float through life. But, you know, I guarantee they probably have toxic relationships, or they have friendships that never last, or they have this toxic cycle of always messing an opportunity up or never being able to get to that next stage that they've always wanted to be on, because these types of preconditioned or conditioned ways of living through abuse really hinder you from taking those next opportunities, developing those healthy relationships, healthy friendships, and even giving back, you know, thinking outside from yourself to be able to give back to somebody or something, or, you know. So I'm happy for him. I think he's another testimony of somebody who we never expected to be a champion, who has defied the odds, become a champion over a great champion, Israel Adesanya. And I think middleweight's a stacked division. It's becoming a very stacked division. You know, you got the guy Ikram Aliskerov, who everybody's high on. You got Bo Nickel, who I don't think is going to last that long. I don't see him being a pretty boy getting hit in the face by somebody like me, or let alone anybody else that can hit, you know, pretty hard. So stellar wrestling, good jiu-jitsu. It's not like he's not good at jiu-jitsu as well, but I don't see him being the fighter's fight. Like, he doesn't strike it. But anyway, you got him, you know, you got Israel still in there. You got du Plessis and Jared Cannonier. There's a lot of really good guys, but they're all beatable. They all got hearts, lungs, they breathe air, and they'll fall just like any other man would, including myself, right? So, but I think I can make them all fall.
So you see a path?
I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who. I just see it. And if I don't, I won't do this no more.
The immediate task is Jack Hermansson, ranked number 10.
Yeah.
And I saw that this was a matchup that you were really happy about. Why were you happy about Jack in particular?
I like Jack. He's not a talker. He's not somebody I get like anxiety with people I don't like, because I'm an obsessive person when it comes to like imagining things, and like I replay the fight with Jack, right? Whether I liked him or I didn't, I replay it every night before I go to bed. I think it's only natural. maybe it's not, but for me, it's all I think about. Every time I go to close my eyes, it's something I'm thinking about. I have a dream about it, or I'm envisioning how it plays out, good and bad. And yeah, I mean, I think Jack's a good candidate because I think he's, a half decent person. I don't know him. I'm giving him, the courtesy to say I think he's a half decent person. I don't know him, but he's not really going to talk that much, and I think his time's up. I don't see him, and I said it, he's going to be upset about it, right? Maybe if he watches it, but who cares? Like, I don't think any of us sitting here right now would say that Jack Hermansson is going to be a champion or even a contender as a champion for the next 5 years. Nobody sees it. I don't see it.
He is a veteran, though.
What's that mean? Gerald's a veteran. Mm-hmm. That means that you've had a lot of miles on your car. You're 10-6, and every time you've gotten up to the top, you've gotten knocked back down, right? So he's a veteran, but that doesn't mean anything. So am I, 23 years in this game. What, you've been in a cage with people watching? I don't care. I'm not bothered by people watching me. You don't see me panic and rushing and getting all crazy to try and get a finish. I know if that's all you're leaning experience on, that's fine. But, does he have the ability to get hit and maybe survive? Sure. But he also has the ability to get hit and curl up like he's done with Thiago Santos and like he did with Jared Cannonier against a bull uppercut that didn't even hit him that clean. So I think he's a quitter. And that's what I see in him. I see when our wills are going to collide, I know that in a life and death thing, who's going to crawl further? I know he's quitting first. So that's what I believe, and I don't think somebody that has that in them will ever hold a championship belt.
I said earlier that, that edge in you comes out whenever we talk, but there's something else that just as we're talking now, that it reminds me of your belief in your power. I've interviewed a lot of guys. I've interviewed a lot of guys that hit hard and have a lot of knockouts on their record, but there's something different about when you talk about the way that you punch. Where does that confidence come from? Because I know that you're being pretty humble right now, because I understand that you broke some records at the PI. Is that true?
Yeah. Hunter Campbell told me they would release the video. Hopefully it comes out, right? But there's a video of me breaking Francis Ngannou, the former heavyweight champion's record, by at least 40 grand. I hit 170,000 and then I hit 181,000, and I did it in front of a guy named Tuco, who was one of Brendan Allen's best friends / coaches, who was there when I was out there cornering him, and I did it in front of multiple people, and I broke it multiple times. So it wasn't something that was like a one-off fluke. I broke it multiple times, and you don't measure power by a machine necessarily transferred into a fight. But I do think it's why, like, Gerald Meerschaert didn't get knocked out, and that made me angry because he just curled up. But I've always felt, even in sparring, if I put little gloves on and I hit people, they give me weird reactions. And I've been told by many teammates over the years, man, even from when I was 16 years old, I've knocked out grown men. So I know I have it. I know I've had that ability. And the only way, even when you have your first fight, I didn't know I could knock somebody out, right? Like, I believed it, but I didn't know it because I didn't do it. But I just have that belief, and it may be wrong, right? I might be sitting here telling this to the world. It may be wrong. But in my head, in my heart, in my mind, I believe that if you put somebody in front of me, I have the ability to knock them out if I catch them clean. I swear on that. And it might be wrong, but I don't believe it's wrong. So I just don't know I don't know how to solidify that other than just that's truly how I think and that's how I feel. But it also doesn't mean that I can't grapple with you and I can't mix it up. Some guys, you may never get that one punch to show that. So you have to fight an MMA fight. You have to kickbox and grapple. So, I'm not arrogant and thinking I'm the hardest puncher in the UFC type crap.
Well, there's a machine that says you are. So.
There is a machine that says that. I am not happy that has not been released yet. So,
well, we're releasing it now. So
I'm going to give it to you. So.
There we go.
Yeah.
What kind of fight are you expecting from Jack?
a very ugly fight. I think he's going to try and cage wrestle me. I think he's going to come out hot, trying to kick me, trying to, shoot immediately. I think he's going to want to see how strong I am. He's going to want to see if he can get the takedown. So I think we'll get a lot of answers very quickly. And one of those is going to be, I think the fight kind of goes one of two ways, right? I can't get him off of me, and it becomes his style of fight where he's able to dictate where we're going. And I'll do some desperate right? Like, I'm not going to sit there and fight 25 minutes getting wrestled. I'll do something. I'd rather get submitted than lose 25 minutes getting dominated. So I'm going to find a way to go for it. Or he can't get the takedown like he thinks, and now he has to fight me where I want to fight. I think it's no secret where we want this fight to be. He's predominantly a grappler. I'm predominantly what everybody thinks is a striker. And so that's what people don't know. They don't know how this fight's going to go. They think he's going to shoot. They think I'm going to strike. So we'll see. But I can tell you that when I do touch him, I will damage him, and that is going to change the trajectory of this fight and the pace of this fight. He comes out real hard and then real hard and like comes crazy and then crashes pretty good. So there's a lot of holes on this man. So I'm going to try and plug in those places that are gaps, that I think are gaps, right? This is all speculation, but we're doing a good job preparing what we think are openings.
When you're laying there in bed and thinking about this fight and thinking about how you're gonna get that finish, what are you envisioning?
So I'm not gonna say what I think I hit him with, but I think I break something on him. I think I break something in his face. I think I break something on him. That's literally what I envision. I always say it, like, I think he overcommits way too much, and I think those are where I find my best shots. And I can fight going forward, and I can fight going backwards. So, I think I break something on him. I think I shock him. I think he gets hit with something, and he doesn't know what hit him.
It's been a long, long road to get to this spot. And you've had to overcome a lot. I mean, the injuries, not just in fighting though, but your entire life, you've overcome so much. What does it say about you that you're here today and you're about to have your first main event in the UFC?
I don't want to say anything's possible, right? But anything that you have a burning desire for, that you have the unexplainable for, that has always just kind of been lingering. It's the unspoken is what has propelled me to never give up. I couldn't put a defining answer on what it was that I was carrying, but when I was standing next to somebody else, I felt different. When I was in high school and everybody's talking about the girls that they were getting with, I was playing chess with my wrestling coach. When everybody would leave practice early, I was the last one there. When I was told I was never going to fight, it's exactly what I wanted to do. And it hurt me when people would tell me that. Or it hurt me when I was working a regular job and people said, why would you want to do this? Oh, why would you want that name? Body bags, that nickname. What if you get knocked out? And it was the constant resilience to just say, you people aren't seeing what I'm seeing. So, yeah, I think it's a testimony to resilience, being persistent, being committed, being disciplined, and being relentless. Like, I'm a relentless person. I'm like a roach you can't kill. I just keep coming back. So it's pretty funny because I'll just keep coming back. It doesn't matter. I can lose today. I'm coming back tomorrow. I can lose today. I'm coming back tomorrow. And I always try to learn. I don't know everything. I'm not the best fighter in the world. I don't have the best skills, but I could be the best fighter in the world at one point. At one point in time, I will be. And if I fall short, dare to be great. I don't live by anybody else's judgments but my own. I'm my own worst critic. There's nothing anybody could say that could hurt me more than what I think of myself. So I'm going to go out there and I'm going to give it everything I got. And if I said things on this camera that were not true, I took a shot. That's it.
Well, I think one day when you're done with fighting, you've got a great career as a motivational speaker, because every time we talk, it's inspiring to hear you talk about your journey. It's inspiring to just feel the intensity that you have every time I talk to you. So I appreciate this very much, and I know I speak for all the fans when I say we cannot wait to watch this fight. So thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate it, Joe.
Thank you.